here today. My name is Will Nukem from NuCorPAC, Nuclear Corporations Political Action Committee. We are an organization, conglomeration, we do public relations work for various nuclear corporations. Today I'm particularly interested in representing Wasteland Unlimited, Waste Makers Incorporated, which are subsidiaries of the Endall Corporation. I'm really glad to be here today because it's really a great day in the nuclear industry. I want to point out for you this amazing piece of technology here. Now this is a mock cast of nuclear waste being proposed to ship nuclear waste around the country, and I'm going to tell you why in a few minutes. But I want you to notice what an amazing piece of technology this is. You'll notice that this cask here is capable of handling a radiation equivalent to 20 Hiroshima nuclear weapons in a cask something like this. And we are proposing, of course, to be traveling all around the country, and so we can be here next to a cask this size and feel safe. So don't you feel safe? So it's a wonderful, and these casks have been tested, fully tested, for collisions up to 30 miles an hour. And so as you can tell, because, you know, especially on routes 91 and train routes traveling on the B&M Railway, how many trucks do you know that travel on 91 at speeds exceeding 30 miles an hour? So we can be sure that we'll be safe. And this is all true, and I'm telling you, these have been tested up to 30 miles an hour. All right? So, now, I know in some ways that this looks like a gigantic dumbbell. But if I know anything, I know that it's the American people are not a gigantic dumbbell. And that's why I want to talk to you today about a new incentive program that we're proposing for the towns and the cities around America. Now, before I go on to this, let me give you just a little bit of background about nuclear waste. As you know, we have some 109 nuclear reactors now producing these nuclear wastes around the country. And it's very good for us because we generate a lot of electricity that way. But in 43 states now, unfortunately, the high-level nuclear waste, which we don't quite know what to do with yet, are piling up. And that presents a little bit of a problem for us in the industry because naturally it costs us a little bit of money to maintain these wastes where we are. And because we generate waste, it's not exactly an incentive to further production for us to have to deal with the cost of these wastes. I'm sure in the free enterprise system you can understand where I'm coming from on this.
Let's hear it.
So these wastes are a problem, and as you know, of course, I don't have to go into the facts about the half-life of radiation. You know that half-life of plutonium, which is a byproduct of nuclear radiation, has a half-life of 24,000 years, which means that for millions of years, basically, we need to keep these wastes absolutely safe in order not to kill ourselves. So the problem is, what do we do with the waste, especially since we don't have a place to put them yet? Well, we do have a proposal now, and this is a proposal that comes from, it's in the House right now and in the Senate right now, House Resolution 1020, and in the Senate it's S-167, a remarkable partnership between government and the utilities to try to solve one of our problems in order to generate. We are proposing to ship the nuclear wastes on casks like this by rail and by highway all around the country to take it, to get it out of the sites where right now, unfortunately, we're responsible for maintaining it. Now, the nuclear industry wants to be able to continue to produce electricity. We want to be able to continue to produce it in a concentrated way that we have been doing, a very centralized and efficient way of generating electricity. Also, which is in your interest, which is in our interest, because we can collect a higher rate of return on our investment with larger, more centralized plants, which is why we developed nuclear power in the first place. However, it's causing a little bit of an economic disincentive for us right now to have to maintain the wastes on these sites. So we're proposing sending them all out to Yucca Mountain or the Muscalera Indian Reservation, where we'll be able to temporarily store them in a large parking lot type of facility, which will be good for at least 30 years, at which time it will be okay to move them again. Okay? So this is what we're proposing. Now, you may think that I'm kidding, but I'm absolutely serious about this. This will be voted on supposedly this October in the House and the Senate. Now, I'm sure people in this part of the country can really appreciate what we're doing by offering these economically depressed Indian reservations an opportunity to pull themselves up using our technology. Especially in this part of the country where in 1763, under orders from British General Geoffrey Amherst, the commander of Fort Pitts gave attending Indian chiefs with whom he was negotiating blankets from a smallpox hospital. Now that was a pioneering effort, is what is now called biological warfare, and an epidemic soon spread among the Indian population. Well, I want to say that now we want to make this up to our American brothers, our Native American brothers and sisters. We are now giving them the opportunity to benefit economically in their hard times by sending them these highly toxic but safely contained nuclear wastes so that they can store them on their parking lot there. Helps them, helps us, okay? So we're trying to make up for past mistakes here. Now, here's the opportunity. Let me point down here to the routes that this nuclear waste will be following. You can see this map here. Some of the waste will be coming from Millstone, up the B&M railroad lines. We'll be having wastes coming from Seabrook down the B&M through Greenfield, from Vermont Yankee, right down Route 91, right by here, Northampton. Casks like these of nuclear waste coming down Route 91, right by Northampton. And we're talking about hundreds of casks like this. And as I say, this cask, as an amazing piece of technology, contains approximately the radiation equal to the fallout from 20 Hiroshima bombs. And it has been tested up to 30 miles an hour for safety. Okay? So you can see that right down here, well, if you look here, right down Route 91, along the B&MW Railroad. Also, the waste from the Pilgrim plant will be coming very near here, through near Worcester, close to the Springfield area, through Hartford. These are the actual routes proposed in our legislation to ship these casks out to those Indian reservations for temporary storage up to 30 years, so that we in the nuclear industry don't lose our incentive to keep producing these electric power wastes. You understand what I mean. Now, it is true that if we stop the entire nuclear program right now, 65% of these wastes would be eliminated before they were ever created. But think of the electricity that you would lose. We'd have to go back to the days of hydroelectricity. We'd have to develop solar technologies, which we don't really want to invest in. The people are not interested in decentralized technologies that are unproven. They're interested in electrical generating sources that are a proven technology. Now, we do know that there are some concerns about accidents, about nuclear waste being shipped around. But what I say is, why wait for the federal government to convene a long-time panel, a presidential commission, to study the whole problem of nuclear waste and come up with a coordinated plan? Because that just, to me, puts the possibility on the table that nuclear power won't look so good if we have to consider the waste option. It's a disincentive to our industry. Much better to take these wastes, put them in temporary storage, wastes. I know that we are campaigning for smaller and smaller government now, but we do feel that one possible role for government is for them to take care of all of the nuclear wastes, which are now our responsibility in the industry. We want less government. We care about less government control, less government role in our lives. But we do think that the government should take responsibility for all of the nuclear wastes that we as an industry have generated. It's in the interest of the taxpayers, and it's in the interest of the producers. So there's the basis here for a win-win solution for all of us.
Isn't that corporate welfare?
Well, we're willing to look at various forms of welfare during this debate about welfare in the present time. Some types of welfare seem appropriate to us in the industry. However, if 15,000 shipments like this are going to be taking place over the next 30 years, and you don't feel that the DOE ought to be saddled with the responsibility, there is a way for local municipal governments, town governments, city governments like Northampton to also cash in and have a benefit. What we're looking at here is, as long as these casks are coming right down Route 91 anyway, why not initiate what we're calling the Public Policy Partnership Plan, Waste Takers America. And here's how it works.
What a great idea!
We divest ourselves of the responsibility for these wastes. Local municipal governments take the responsibility, and instead of shipping them all the way out to Yucca Mountain, divert them along the path. Set up your own small independent parking lots here in Northampton, in Amherst, in Greenfield. Take a few casks, designate a space, take the income from storing these wastes, and we can establish temporary storage facilities all across the country, remove the industry from the responsibility, but also keep it from falling into the hands of the federal government. This is the plan that we are proposing in the nuclear industry. If you don't like the plan, which is now being proposed in the House and the Senate. And finally, one word of caution. It's very important, I think, that we jump on this while we have the chance. Because Westinghouse Electric Corporation has made a recent proposal to ship radioactive wastes smelted in Tennessee via JFK Airport, via the main airport, to Dagestan, Russia, for permanent storage there. Now, the Russian people are looking at this as an option. Do you want to see these valuable, high-level nuclear wastes shipped to Tennessee, shipped back to New York City, put on airplanes, and flown for a final resting place to Russia?
No!
When you could store it here in your own cities? I want to say that we, as a people, are looking at the possibility of making amends with our old enemies, the Muscaleros, the Native American people in Yucca Mountain, the Russians from the Cold War. We're looking at this option as a way of sharing our victory with them, the vanquished, in a way that meets our needs and in a way that helps them pull themselves up in the economic wake, the hardships that follow in the wake of defeat. We're willing to offer that, but not until we've given the American people a chance to seize the initiative themselves. Set up a parking lot here in Northampton. We'll save, and whatever happens, ladies and gentlemen, don't leave those wastes sitting where they are in relative safety until we find a solution that will take care of these wastes permanently. It's tempting, I know. It's tempting to say, let's establish a presidential commission. Let's look at the whole problem of nuclear generation. Let's look at the problem of waste. Let's find a solution before we create any more waste. But as tempting as that looks, remember, there's no incentive in that for us, your electric producers, to continue to generate electricity the way we have been for the last several decades in your best interest. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.